Welcome back to Music Kingdom. While we haven't gotten a ton of requests to review System of a Down on this channel, we have still gotten some over the past several months. And very recently, I was with a good friend of mine who knows my taste in music very well, and based off of that, he recommended a specific song by them in particular as my introduction to the band. And so, in this video, we will be listening to, giving a music theory breakdown for, and blindly reviewing Aerials by System of a Down. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is Francis. If you are a fellow nerd for music, such as myself, and you appreciate not just reactions, but in-depth reviews and analysis of songs, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's briefly talk Aerials by System of a Down. Aerials is from the second studio album by System of a Down titled Toxicity, released in 2001. Expanding on their 1998 debut, it incorporated more melody, harmonies, and singing than the band's first album. Categorized primarily as alternative metal and nu metal, Toxicity features elements of multiple genres, including folk, progressive rock, jazz, and Armenian and Greek music, including prominent use of instruments like the sitar, banjo, keyboards, and piano. It also contains a wide array of political and non-political themes, such as mass incarceration, the CIA, the environment, police brutality, drug addiction, scientific reductionism, and groupies, which, personally or subjectively speaking, I find very cool. I've always had a soft spot for lyrics in music that are woke. For lack of a better word, I suppose I could instead say socially conscious, because honestly, the word woke has been absolutely crucified. Regardless, I've just always loved music like that. I'm not sure if any of you watching this are also into the hip-hop genre, but there is an artist named Immortal Technique. From the same era, he raps about stuff like the CIA, or the media, or oil and gas, or politicians, corruption, conspiracy, the music industry, so on and so forth. For better or worse, I eat that stuff up. And honestly, I have a bit of reverence for woke lyrics of that time period. Not to be too dismissive of socially conscious music today, however, I find personally that it feels a bit more contrived or forced or pretentious, whereas I suppose music of that nature from several decades ago just feels a bit more authentic. So props to System of a Down. Anyways, back to Toxicity. It is primarily considered alternative metal and nu metal, yes, but it's also been described as thrash metal, art metal, hard rock, progressive metal, and heavy metal, receiving highly positive ratings and reviews from critics. Especially because, to my knowledge at least, their previous work had more of a mainstream metal feel, whereas Toxicity felt more distinct and unique. Stuff like varying time signatures, rhythms, versatile vocals, so on and so forth. Now regarding the song Aerials specifically, it was released as the third single from the album, which earned the band its second Grammy nomination for Best Hard Rock Performance in 2003. Aerials also hit #1 on both the Billboard Alternative Songs and Mainstream Rock chart, becoming System of a Down's first ever #1 hit. Now for what it's worth, I'm sure I will eventually review songs like Chop Suey, Toxicity, etc. on this channel. Songs that, to my knowledge at least, are even bigger and are considered signature songs by System of a Down. Again, with how talented I've heard they are and the types of things they write about, I can't believe I've never really gotten into their work. I suppose a lot of what I listen to is older, much older music. Honestly, to the point where something that came out in 2001 in my brain is still kinda new, but in reality, someone born when this album came out is 22 years old now. And don't get me wrong, I'm still in my 20s, but more so the tail end of the millennial generation. Like, I remember 2001, and I have a very hard time keeping up with today's slang. So yeah, I'm one of those people kind of out of touch, but regardless, and back to the point, I haven't really explored the work by System of a Down, and while I'm sure I'll get to some of their other staples, feel free to drop song recommendations by them in the comments below as well. Now finally, at long last, it's time we give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will be pausing once to share my thoughts, but ultimately to avoid any copyright strikes. And as always, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. Beautiful intro. already well produced in terms of the string usage as well.
Life is a waterfall. We're one in the river and one again after the fall.
Ooh, very epic.
Swimming through the void, we hear the word. We lose ourselves, but we find it all.
Oh my god. It's not expected.
'Cause we are the ones that wanna play. Always wanna
Harmonies.
go, but you never wanna stay.
Oh, this is already so well done.
We are the ones that wanna choose. Always wanna play, but you never wanna lose.
Nice change up in vibe. And I really appreciate those harmonies.
Aerials in the sky. When you lose small mind, you free your life. Life is a waterfall. We drink
This
from
is
the
so
river,
good.
then we turn around and put up our walls.
I'm gonna be converted. Thoughts so far, I am already such a fan, which on this channel I feel is a little bit rare. Yes, I enjoy a lot of the songs that I blindly review if they're good, but most of them tend to grow on me a bit more over time, whereas with this song it's already like, yup, this is up my alley. I think the vocals are what really won me over so quickly. I have heard that he's a versatile vocalist, which to some extent is to be expected with this type of music, changing up styles on a dime, but the moments he belts in this song are breathtaking. Very excited to see where it goes.
Swimming through the void, we hear the word. We lose ourselves, but we find it all.
His voice is nuts. I was not expecting that.
'Cause we are the ones that wanna play. Always wanna go, but you never wanna stay.
It's both pretty and hard-hitting.
We are the ones that wanna choose. Always wanna play, but you never wanna lose.
What a nice transition. Love that.
Aerials in the sky. When you lose
I'm surprised by the lyrics. They're more philosophical than I thought. More like Tool. Very different, of course.
when you free your eyes, eternal prize. Aerials in the sky. When you lose small mind, you free your life. Aerials so up high. When you free your eyes.
I'm liking this so much more than I thought I would, honestly. Not that I thought I would dislike it, but I just wasn't sure what to expect. It's like tasteful. You can tell they're very like artistically inclined and inspired. Wow. Alright, initial thoughts before we go to the expert's corner and before grading the song. I realize this isn't super articulate or eloquent, but holy shit. Lyrics, well written, production, tasteful, vocals, surprising. Composition, I'm no expert, that's why we have an expert for that, but just off my own ears, I can already tell it's not necessarily their most complex work. But still, I would imagine that's also solid enough. And surprisingly original as well. It makes sense what I was reading about the band beforehand regarding how they had their own sort of unique, distinctive sound. Kind of hard to gauge or assess which genre it is exactly. And I would absolutely agree, I love the way they went about this song. And if this song is any indicator, I'm sure it's even more true for a lot of their other stuff. Because I have heard that the song Aerials is a bit more simple, at least by the band's standards. But even still, very well done regardless, as mentioned. And I do have more specific thoughts, which I'll get to when I'm breaking apart the song and grading it. But first, let's go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to see how he grades the song's composition.
Welcome to the Experts Corner. This is Aerials by System of a Down, and I'm here to give it a composition score. This song is in the time signature of 4/4, and it's in the key of C minor. So if we're talking about chords, this song is actually pretty simple. It stays on the C minor for most of the song. Even that little riff is just a riff on the scale of C minor. I actually think it's pretty cool that they stay on C minor for so long, because then when they finally go to a different chord, it hits that much harder. Eventually it goes to A flat. So they're sitting on C minor for quite a while. Then this part hits where it goes to A flat major. And then they just kind of go back and forth. Then eventually it does something really cool, which is go to G with a dominant 7 in it. G dominant 7. And also, because I'm a sucker for vocal harmonies, I do want to shout out that part at the end with the vocal harmonies. So I don't know all that much about System of a Down, but I have heard that they have plenty of songs that have very intricate composition, time signatures, rhythms. And if that's the case, then this one's probably just one of their simpler songs where composition isn't the star of the show. And even so, I really enjoyed it. I thought the decision to keep things simple was actually very effective, and I loved the mood that it created. There was some great harmony stuff, some great melody stuff. But in sticking with my objective standards for my score, I'm gonna have to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song's composition a modest but solid 6.5 out of 10. And now it's time to divide the song into 4 more categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. Starting off with the category of production specifically, I'm inclined to give it a great 8 out of 10. To keep it short and sweet, for starters, I think it's mixed well. I also appreciate the usage of strings in a very tasteful way. The blend of harmonies, in my opinion, was a very smart choice and really enriched and enhanced my own listening experience. Not to mention very smooth transitions as well, which, yes, I acknowledge has a bit to do with composition, but is also a production decision as well, at least as far as the instruments working together goes. And on top of all of that, you've got the subtle and, again, tasteful usage of sitar towards the end. Overall, I would describe the production as more minimalistic, but in a good way, not hitting you over the head with sound effects or doing too much. In my opinion, at least, you can produce a song in such a way with it still being great. Up next, we have the category of lyrics, which I struggled a bit with in terms of how to grade them, but ultimately, I arrived at a very great 8.5 out of 10. Regarding why I struggled with grading the lyrics, on one hand, subjectively, I really like what they're about, the subject matter. Philosophical, wise, open-minded. But on the other hand, the bigger question is, how well written are they? That's what I base the lyrical grading on in terms of objectivity so that I'm consistent on this channel. And ultimately, in my opinion, I think they are very well written. Very insightful, they flow nicely as well. Clever usage of either wordplay, metaphors, etc. And yes, as mentioned, to some extent, kind of reminding me of the lyrics you'd get in a Tool song, even though I acknowledge apples and oranges, but still very great as reflected by an 8.5. Alright, moving on to the category of vocals, I'm inclined to give them another very great 8.5 out of 10. And just as a reminder, I am grading the vocals in this song specifically as opposed to what the singer is capable of in any song. So with that in mind, I do feel an 8.5 is great because there are moments in the song where it feels like a 9 or a 9.5 or a 10 that make my jaw drop. I mean, what a voice. Moments where honestly, it did remind me a little bit of Freddie Mercury. And no, I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. I know Queen's catalog of music extensively. But just the raw power, but power that is simultaneously beautiful. That's hard to do in my opinion. However, other than the moments of sheer beauty and brilliance and power in the voice, the rest of the song was solid, perhaps very good, but not quite great. So with that logic in mind, if you kind of blend the two with an overall solid song with moments of sheer brilliance, you land, or at least I land, on an 8.5. Okay, arriving at our final category of originality, I'm inclined to give it a great 8 out of 10. As mentioned earlier, I do feel like this is an original song. You have a solid enough composition, you have a great, tasteful production, refreshing, insightful lyrics, a beautiful yet powerful vocal delivery applied in a great way. All these things working together in addition to the context I've described of the evolution of them as a band and their sound, pulling from various influences and multiple genres. In my opinion, that is evident in a song like this, but is this one of the most artistic, creative pieces of music ever made in history? No, which is okay, but that would be in the realm of a 9, a 9.5, or a 10. So in my opinion, an 8 is still great and deserving. So now if we add it all up, including the expert's composition score, and average it out, Aerials by System of a Down from their second studio album titled Toxicity, released in 2001, gets a very good 1/10 off of great 7.9 out of 10. Honestly, subjectively speaking, in terms of my own personal enjoyment of the song, I feel that a 7.9 is a bit low. But then again, for the aforementioned reasons, I can see how I arrived at a 7.9 in a more objective lens. Obviously, at the end of the day, that is just our own take. So in the comments down below, let me know whether you think we are right on the money, batshit crazy, or somewhere in between, as well as what other songs by System of a Down or whoever else you would like for this channel to review next. As mentioned, if you are a fellow nerd for music, such as myself, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.